Okay, today we have someone really special, and I'm super excited about this interview, but I am not going to spoil it. I'm going to let him do most of the talking, so I'll just start us off. Would you mind just telling us about yourself and where you're from?
Well, my name is Christopher Johson, and I am a native of a little city called Niceville, Florida. They're in the panhandle of Florida, right near Destin, Florida, for those of you who are trying to find some reference points. So,
I know where Destin's
I'm
at.
excited. I've been in Murfreesboro. I moved from Niceville, and I've been in Murfreesboro since the summer of 1999. So, I'm right at 20 years now.
Oh, wow, 20 years. So tell us about your business. Like, what are you doing here? What's going on?
So, my business is I'm in the business of saving souls. Let's put it that way.
Okay, all right.
However, as a pastor and a minister of the gospel, and also I also consider myself a coach. I started a side business called the Greatness Coach because I've been mentoring and coaching young men and women for as long as I can remember. But as a pastor, at Zion Christian Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You know, it's so funny because I get this question all the time: how does one equate a ministry with business? But you know, there is a business side to ministry. You know, if you think about it, a pastor who, in my case, who planted a ministry, started a ministry that is from scratch. But 11 people came in my living room, and
Wow.
this organization just started out of you know, an idea and
Yeah.
strictly a vision and prayer. And so, in that sense, you're thinking about forming and structuring. You're thinking about strategic planning and foresight. You're thinking about assimilating a team and developing leaders and the strategy that's involved in that. You're thinking about the financial burden and stresses as it relates to planning around that structure and everything like that. So in our 13th year, to go from scratch until where we are right now, we just built next door. We purchased this property we're sitting in. And so that takes a little business regimen, if would, for any pastor or leader. So there's definitely a business side to ministry.
Absolutely. Now, I would be really interested to see a lot more here, but before you give us a tour, tell me, like, this business. I know you're in the spiritual business, but what are you like known for? What is your specialty and your brand about?
Well, so as it relates to our church, I really believe God has placed us in Murfreesboro because I think God has really given me a breath for 21st century ministry. Our ministry is not traditional in the sense that if you come here in the next 10 years or the next 10 years or so, or even the next 5 years for that matter, we may be functioning and flowing differently. However, when you look at most traditional models in church structure, you typically see the same thing happening for 15, 20 years. That's more of those traditional models of church. I really believe God has given us a breath of fresh air as it relates to doing ministry that ministers in relevancy to this generation. And so when you come in, our worship is explosive. The music is loud. Our praise team is loud. It's high energy. The worship is free. And so we really found a way. And teenagers love our church. So I really wanted a place to where all generations could come. And when you're sitting in I guess my measurement, my benchmark every Sunday is when I'm preaching on Sunday, I'm picturing a family getting in a car, and from elementary all the way up to the grandparent, the whole family sitting in the car, and each one of them telling what they got from the experience in their own perspectives. That meant that every generation was hit. And so that's really what we try to specialize in.
Wow.
Is relevant ministry.
That's amazing. That I can't even put words around that. That's amazing. So, how did you get into this?
Wow. So my story goes, my dad was a pastor in Niceville, Florida. So I was literally born in church. So I've been in and around it all my life. But I was a different kid. I mean, I was the kid that while my teammates or my peers were partying or trying to have fun, I was the guy sitting up under my dad going to talk with pastors and preachers. That was my interest. So I was also that guy. My dad planted two churches. So I was also that guy that was setting up equipment every week and breaking down equipment every week. I was his sound guy. I was his video guy. I was his audio technician. So really God was preparing me for this all this time, and I didn't even know it. And so when I came to college, the Jesus that mama and daddy made us go to church to learn about. When I sat in college, my sophomore year, doing a Bible study in an apartment, and I remember it one summer, there was a teammate of mine named Steve Ellison. We're sitting in a Bible study, and then the Holy Spirit just boom took over my life, and then now what used to be Mama's Jesus and Daddy's Jesus became my Jesus, and I started to know Him for myself, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yep.
Cool. That's deep. So what would you say is your greatest strength? What is it that you possess that makes you successful at this?
I genuinely love people. Jesus was in the people business. I mean, everything He did was about people. And I really think when people come, they feel my authentic love for people. I just care about people. I mean, I can see somebody in Walmart right now and just go in a conversation and hug them and love them. I just love people. And I think people today, especially the generation we live in today, people can really pinpoint and pick up on if you care genuinely. And I think one of my strengths is being able to connect with people on that very intimate way. People actually look and know, well, this guy authentically cares.
Wow. So my next question, I think I know the answer on one side. So the question is, we're thinking about the business side and the spiritual side, but I know what you're going to say about the spiritual side. So the question is, do you have a resource like a publication, TV show, or group that inspires you in business? So I'm thinking of the spiritual side. I know your resource.
So something that inspires me, like someone that I listen to or something like that?
It could be whatever it is for you.
So my inspiration comes in business. One of my business coaches is Coach Michael Burt. He's here locally, actually. And so when I started the Greatness Coach, that was really a new venture for me, because I first had to reconcile whether what God has placed inside of me, is there a portion of that I should charge for? And so Coach Burt helped me package that and realize, what people get on Sunday and Wednesday, that's free. You can't charge for the gospel.
Right.
But when people want you to mentor them, to show you how to structure their life and package up their business, or to vision cast for their future, their organization, etc., then that's something that should have a price tag on it. And so me looking at the back half of my pastorate and my career, saying like, hey, I've been pastoring for 14 years now, so I'm halfway through a generation. And so what's next? And so that's Coach Burt kind of helped me package that up. And so I look to him in the business arena for that. And then in ministry, I have so many mentors and so many examples that I'm learning from. Dr. Ari Vernon has been he's in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm a part of the Gathering of the Shepherds. And so he has been inspiration in that regard. But I have so many big brothers in the ministry that I can, Bishop Michael Strickland has been one that I've leaned on. He's down in Stockbridge, Georgia, one of my big brothers in the ministry. I have some uncles in the ministry and some adopted spiritual fathers. Pastor Jimmy Greer up in Nashville, Friendship Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor Jerry Marable here in Murfreesboro. The list goes on, but I have so many mentors who have poured into me and given me some examples.
Wow, that's a blessing for sure. So tell me more about this Greatness Coach.
So the Greatness Coach, I have this saying, and it really bespeaks my conviction. I believe everyone can be great. No matter who you are, I believe everyone can be great. But not everyone will be great, because not everyone will apply the methods, the models, and the mandates to their lives to achieve greatness. So what the Greatness Coach is, what I've used, if I've combined all of my years of coaching and ministry, I cannot escape it. I cannot divorce my years of experience in organized sports. I've been an athlete, I've been a coach, and I've learned some principles and techniques as far as coaching and mentoring and inspiring people to be as best as they can be. And then I've also ministered and discipled people in those areas. And so what the Greatness Coach is I've combined all of these lessons with both practical lessons and scriptural lessons, and came up with the Greatness Model. I've written several books. For example, I just wrote a book called Boundaries, helping people find and establish emotional, spiritual, and physical boundaries over their lives so that they can move toward intentional wholeness. I wrote a book that helps develop and coach young men to be men. What I found is that there are so many young boys who do not have models for manhood, single parent homes, grew up without fathers, or, even their dads who are suffering from some hurt that they didn't get over when they were boys. So they're raising up another generation of hurt boys. And so I wrote a book called Man-Made Men. It is helping young boys gain models for manhood. So I'm helping men raise up a generation of men instilling values and standards in their lives. Then I wrote a book. Then I wrote another book called Pastor Plus,
Wow.
which some of these things that I'm talking about, how does a pastor kind of reconcile those two questions, what else and what next? That every pastor can move and have a life beyond the pulpit. And so I want to help pastors, I want to coach pastors to find what else they can impact the world, is because it is possible, pastors who are watching, it is possible to say yes to your assignment, but still be unfulfilled. And that's why we're seeing so many pastors find sabbaticals, take breaks, suicide, get depressed, dealing with anxiety, because they're preaching every week, but there's some personal aspects of their lives that's just simply not fulfilled. Then I wrote a book called The 3 T's of Ministry, helping you not to burn out in ministry. So those are my 4 works. I've got 2 more that's in the working that's going to be releasing this year or next year. So that's kind of what my Greatness Coach is. It's a coaching and mentoring program.
That's deep. That's so deep. Okay, so tell us how you got here. I mean, your business is here. Your ministry starts here, at least. Murfreesboro. Why Murfreesboro?
So now when I finished playing football, I came to Murfreesboro on full football scholarship. I finished playing football, and so in the process of all of that, while I'm on campus, I started doing campus Bible studies, getting involved in ministry and things of that nature. So I gained a level of influence there. Then I joined a local church, started restructuring their youth ministry. Bethel Missionary Baptist Church out in Walter Hill. My pastor was Pastor Freddie B. Carpenter. And my first assignment there was to restructure and grow the youth ministry. So we did that, and the youth ministry grew. And so that was my earliest form of ministry. So I took some of those same strategies and same techniques of growth and started pastoring my first church, which was Mount Zion Rucker Missionary Baptist Church out in Christiana. And took some of those same techniques and grew that church from about 10 people in a year's time to about 150 people. The church only sits about 125, so you can imagine how the crowd was. And so God had other plans, and so I resigned from that church. And we maybe a month or 2 after that, those 11 people sat in my living room, and we launched Zion Christian Ministries. The first Sunday, 85 people joined, and we were meeting in a theater for about 4 months. And from there, we had to leave the theater on campus at MTSU, the KUC Theater, MT, let's go. So we had to leave there, and we ended up, and this is a real funny story, because we ended up going to Hellam's Funeral Home. Someone who worked there worked it out so that we could be in there. And so we went in there, and then we were only supposed to be in there for about 2 weeks. Well, 2 weeks turned into 6 years that we were there. And we worshiped in a funeral chapel for 6 years. And the blessing in all of that is the church was growing, both numerically and spiritually. People were growing, marriages were being healed, people were coming in a place associated with death and finding life.
Wow.
And so and that was a powerful moment. So that took us all the way up to 2014. Pastor Vinny Windrow and Olive Branch Church were getting ready to purchase what their now property is in Minerva. And I remember this like yesterday. Pastor Vinny and I sat down and had a meeting. He said, "Man, how much longer do you want to be in a funeral home?" I said, "Pastor, I wanted to be out last year."
Yeah.
And so, God had a plan, and we worked a deal, and we bought the property here at 4750 John Bragg Highway. And we were here, and God has just blessed us tremendously and richly while we've been in this building, and we've seen marriages, more marriages healed, baptisms and transformations and life change, and so young people who were in the funeral home as little kids are now in leadership here, and that has been amazing to watch. And so, and I that's been the highlight of our ministry. And so, but we had some facility issues because we have more kids than we could accommodate for. We needed more space. And so just recently we were able to complete a building project next door. We built what we've called our 401k building, which stands for only one king.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And so that's been a blessing to see that come into fruition with classroom space and multi-purpose space, so we can fully disciple our next generation.
Well, that's a great segue. I would love to see more of here where we're not in a funeral home.
Not in a funeral home, thank God.
Can we see, let's see your space, and let's see your new space.
Yes.
I'd love to see more. So if you don't mind, give me a tour.
Most definitely.
All right. So where are we now?
So we are standing now in the sanctuary at 4750 John Bragg Highway.
Okay.
Probably could seat about, I think comfortably, about 350 in this sanctuary. If we put chairs up on the stage, we probably could get a little bit more, but this is our sanctuary. But This sanctuary looked nothing like this when we bought it. It was all red carpet. There were stairs on the stage. Those lights weren't there. This was all rock on the front of the walls and things like that, because we didn't build this building, but we wanted to make sure we have a very unique culture. We wanted this building to say Zion. And it still doesn't say it like I wanted to say it, but we made enough changes to make it look like what we wanted it to look like. And so what you're seeing is a result of us. All of this equipment we brought in. When the last church left, they took most of the equipment. The only thing we had left were those speakers up at the top.
Okay.
And so we had to come in and refurnish all of the equipment. And if you look back there in the back, there's cameras and things like that back in the booth back there. And so I'll kind of take you back into what we call our control room, so that you can get some perspective. But if you walk this way, this is where you'll see that we had limited space, because this is more like our little lounge area.
Okay.
So this is the area that we use to take in our new members when people join. And it is used as a little lounge area before church. We have different meetings and things like that in here. And so, And this is my office.
Okay.
And I don't mind it. It's cleaner than it normally is.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I tell people all of the time, if your office is clean, that means you're not working.
Okay, I like that. I'm going to use that. Okay.
And so let me turn the light on.
All right.
And so this is, of course, this is a little area that we've used. We stack up our extra chairs in here in case we have overflow. This goes into our baptismal area, so that's not really Our baptismal pool is right up the stairs around the
Okay.
corner there. And this is our multi-purpose area. Now this will help you understand why we needed more space, because this is our only multi-purpose area, but this is also our kitchen. So for the past 4 years, we've had 3 age groups of kids in here.
Wow.
So on a Sunday when we do our children's church, you may have 55, 60 kids in this one room. And so we knew we had to do something.
Yeah.
Because it was difficult for the teachers.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can imagine.
That's a lot of kids in one space.
Yep. And so what we had to do, what we thought about doing, we said we needed to expand our space.
Okay.
But a real interesting dynamic and a real interesting part of our ministry is, I mentioned those young kids, and one of the kids that I can talk about in particular, but a young guy named TJ Brown. Well, TJ was 11 years old when he came to us in the funeral home. He was 11 years old, and so I had a little amp head, a little Samson amp head, and he just had one responsibility, and that was to turn the volume up and down.
Okay.
Right? And so he did that, and he did that for, he did that for years, and eventually, what started as him doing turning one knob up and down has now blossomed and developed into us pouring into him for the past 10 years. Mm-hmm. And now he runs all of our media. He runs all of the cameras, and there's like a 9-person crew every Sunday. And he runs all of those things. And so
that's amazing.
and you can kind of get, this is our audio things that happens. This is like our audio booth, a couple of cameras. Our light engineer is over there. He runs the lights over there. So, and TJ kind of knows all of this. I'm gonna have to unlock this. Can you stop it so I can get the key?
Yes. All right, we rolling.
So this is our what we call our control room.
Okay.
And here's why. So
yeah.
all of our video streaming, we stream every Sunday. So all of our streaming and things like that is controlled in this room. So that far computer, I think that's the streaming computer, and then this computer handles all of our lyrics and what people see live. Mm-hmm. I don't really know what this computer does. You might have to ask TJ. Okay. This is all of our video switcher that handles all of the camera angles. So when all of this is fired up, I think this is the multi-display that shows all the cameras. That's the live feed, so that shows what people are seeing. This is a dedicated board simply to handle the mix on the live stream. So people who stream in with us, you can stream in from thisiszion.org, or you download the Zion Christian Ministries app. And when you're watching us live, this one person is mixing the audio.
Wow.
So it's a totally different mix than what's happening out there. So, and of course, this is some of our setup stuff. We have signs and all of these things set up out. And we have a tent that we'll set up on a Sunday morning. So, of course, you can see some of our cameras packaged up here.
Yeah.
But this is the control room.
Okay.
Which, when we first moved in this building, this was part of our overflow. So we had to use this. We had chairs set up in here, aimed at that TV right there, and this was part of our overflow. Problem with that is, I like it loud. So one of the things I tell them, because of the culture and the generation that we minister to, I tell TJ, the measurement for me is, if the walls aren't shaking, it's not loud enough. Oh. So I have, the problem with that is, if you're in here, you're trying to listen to the TV and that sound.
Yeah.
And so we knew that we needed to do something different. We needed more space.
Okay.
And we needed more space because, from an overflow standpoint, we didn't have enough space. But then also with our kids, we didn't have enough space. So God blessed us to build. And while we're here, let me talk about this blessing. This year, this is maybe 3 weeks ago. I set out. Well, let's back up to November of 2019.
Okay. When
God blessed us to finish our building.
Okay.
I really got on Facebook Live and said, I'm believing God that we need a 15-passenger van, and I'm believing God that we're not gonna pay for it. Somebody's gonna just bless us with it. Well, 3 weeks ago, the First Baptist Church family and Pastor James McCarroll walked us over the title to a brand new van. So,
look at God.
But this is an example of kingdom work. This is an example, and I believe this really bespeaks the idea of what we should be doing in a community is helping each other. Absolutely. And this is just a prime example of that. And
fantastic.
So we were able to build, and this is our new 401k building.
Oh, wow. Let me get a look.
Yep.
Yes.
About 4,400 square foot of classroom space, multi-purpose space, and we'll take a walk inside. And there's some things that we still have to shore up. There's some plans that we have with a covered walkway.
Okay, that'd be nice. Yeah.
And things of that nature. And so here's the new. I'm gonna grab this light here.
Oh yeah, it's got that new smell.
Turn this light on so you can see here. And so this is our classroom space, and these are all classrooms that we did not have before. And as you can see, they're all named, and each age group has their own classroom space, as opposed to 3 age groups of kids
in one
room, and they're all equipped with TVs and whiteboards, and so and some of them, and all of these classrooms are kind of built the same way, so we don't have to walk in all of them.
Absolutely.
I'll walk in the ones that are different. I'm really excited about this. This is for our little kids, our toddler age.
Okay.
And
city.
And this is our sitting room, and so we're really excited about the learning possibilities here. You know, everyone's able to learn on their own, at their own level.
That's right.
And God has blessed us so much that this past Sunday, this was all at capacity. So every classroom was full.
Wow.
Yeah, and our teams meet in this room. This is our vision room. This is the largest classroom in this building. Yeah. We call this the vision room. Sometimes we'll have staff meetings, and when we do our new member orientation, which happens every quarter, we'll bring all of the new members in here. We'll train them up on Zion. But as you can see, to kind of really, I guess circle back around to my earlier point, it takes a lot of strategic planning and foresight when you're thinking about an organization that pastors definitely have to have when dealing with how to grow an organization, And so it's not just getting up and preaching on Sunday.
Right.
So, and then we have a multi-purpose area that can seat an additional 162 people.
Oh my.
And we call that Culture Hall, and that's this space here.
Culture Hall.
I'm going to grab the light. So.
Okay.
So this is Culture Hall, and again, I think it's probably about 100 chairs in here now, but we can get about 160 chairs in here. We've got round tables. We can kind of set this room up any kind of way we want to set it up.
Yeah.
So people who need event space, want to have events here, this is definitely open to our community to have events here. We've really kept that in mind as well. We wanted to build something to where people could come in and use it.
Very, very nice.
Yep. So the next Black Murfreesboro meeting could be right here.
Look, I had a conversation last night with a young lady, and I'm sure she's going to watch this, and we were talking about where we could meet to have women together.
Wow.
We are just starving to be with each other and to do like book readings, just chill environments, and we have nowhere to go.
This is it.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I appreciate you definitely letting us in and showing us what you're about and what your organization is about, what your church is about, what your coaching business is about. You have many hats and you wear them all well.
Well, thank you so
And
much.
I just have a couple more questions for you. So, what has been your biggest challenge as a Black man in business?
Whew. As a Black man in business, I believe one of my biggest challenges has been not wanting to mess up. I think I think in some sense have to work extra hard. You always want to try to prove yourself, I guess, if that's the right word, to show that you belong, that you're legit, that you're valid. And I think that has been my biggest challenge as an African American man in particular, is just showing that, hey, I'm here and I belong. So I would say that's it.
Wow. So what advice would you give someone looking to start a business or maybe even looking for a church home?
Oh, now that's good. That's good.
Okay.
That's good. Now, first, the one getting ready to start a business.
Okay.
And this is really a double-sided question. If you're ready to start a business, what I would say is the same thing I would say to a pastor who's getting ready or aspiring to plant a church. And I say plant a church. So let me talk about the business first. If you're ready to do a business, I would say start with your business plan. Make sure you have a strong business plan. Make sure you've made ample connections in the community. Make sure you've sat down with people who are in the business you're trying to go start and talk to them about what worked and what didn't work. Have a mentor in that. Now, to the pastor who's getting ready to start a church, I would say there's a difference between starting and planting. Make sure that if you're a pastor, that you plant a church. When you start a church, anyone can do that. But when you plant a church, just like a farmer that plants seed, it takes a little bit more strategy, planning. You have to gather the right tools. You have to have patience. You have to be able to get the right kind of core around you, the people around you. In order to yield that harvest, it takes a little bit more care and attention. So if you're a pastor getting ready to plant a church, my advice to you is to take time to prepare before you launch. And if you need help on doing that, get at me. That's what I do. And if you're looking for a church home, I would say this. We have so many beautiful churches here in Murfreesboro and in Rutherford County. And I would say if you're looking for a church home where you and your children can learn at your own level, can be involved, you're looking for a real relevant and practical word. And if you're looking for a little contemporary style worship flow with a flavor, a hint of traditional, this is the spot for you. And we'd love to have you as our guest. You can visit us at www.thisiszion.org. You can download the Zion Christian Ministries app, or you can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And I think she's going to put the links to all of that.
Absolutely.
Or you can just Google us. I promise you we'll pop up. We're there on YouTube, Google. We'd love to have you as our guest.
Fantastic. Is there anything else at all you would like people to know?
Well, about me, I think I would love people to know that what you may not have heard in this presentation is that my most proud moments are the fact that I'm a husband and I am a father of 3 beautiful children, Christopher Jr., Jarrell, and Taraja, and I enjoy that more than anything else that I'm doing. And so I would encourage every father and I would encourage every husband, be a husband first, be a father first. And if you're a pastor or a preacher, I say this, I actually have a shirt made, be Christian first and then your title.
Wow. This has been amazing. I thank you so much for letting us in Black Murfreesboro in your presence.
Yes, thank you.
And we look forward to seeing many more positive things and coming to this space
yes.
to meet up.
Yes, most
All
definitely.
right, thank you.